Gaulish Pantheon. How Taranis invented the wheel. Taranis, the great god of the Gauls, invented the wheel. When Taranis would grow angry at the things that he would see, he would hurl his thunderbolts towards the earth and cause fear and panic among the people who had caused the ire to arise within him. He did not necessarily wish to cause the demise of the people of Gaul, but he wanted to send a message, strong and true, that left no room for interpretation. His voice would be heard. Often, when invading armies would come close to the borders that were sacred to his people, Taranis would rise up in anger and send terrible storms towards those who were where they should not be, or where they did not belong. The sky would darken, the air would fill with the sound of thunder, and the flashes of lightning would herald the arrival of deep and powerful rumblings as the skies produced the fury which arose from the god. One day, long, long ago, when the Gauls had found peace and prosperity in their lands, Taranis had grown quiet as his anger was rarely provoked, since the people offered sacrifices appropriate for a god of his status. There was parity in their hosting. The neighbors of the Gauls, however, seeing the peace and prosperity that the Gauls were enjoying, coveted all that the Gauls had built, but of course without wanting to do those things or accomplishing the tasks that the Gauls had done for themselves. So they decided to rise up from Gaul and come against it from the northeast, from the east, from the southeast, and from the south. From all directions, the enemies of Gaul came forward. The enemies went into the sacred forest and cut down many trees. The trees cried out in anguish, and Taranis heard their anguish. And he rose and stood as tall as the sky. He looked at the northeast, the east, the southeast, and the south, and the trees were falling and crying out, and the humans ran to their altars and called out his name. O Taranis, Thunderer, please save us from those who would defile our sacred forests, our homes. Please protect us from the invading armies and buffer our world between theirs and ours. Come to us in our time of need. Taranis heard their cry, and his fury grew to monumental heights, and the angrier he became, the taller he grew. He threw his thunderbolts at the invaders, but they were people with no knowledge of the Thunderer, and they continued in their advance. He would throw a lightning bolt or raise thunder, and still they came. Taranis took the felled trees that they had brought down in the sacred forest, and he created a cross with 6 cross beams, and he took the other trees and made arcs between the ends of the crosses until round objects with spokes were created. He attached lightning bolts all along the edges, and he spun the wheel as fast as he could, and the lightning rained down upon the enemies of the Gauls from all directions from which they came. These invaders fled back in terror as the lightning filled the skies. This was the first use of the wheel. Taranis was so pleased at what had happened with the wheel. He took this object and put it in every village, and the people were pleased at the gift. This is how the wheel came to be, and this is why when we see Taranis, we see him holding the 6-spoked wheel. He created it.